Alright, this is some of the stuff I'm going to use to go start prepping on the roof, the barn roofs. And I got these things. They're supposed to be like sticky for working on metal roofs and stuff. So if I wind up slipping around up there on these, I'll slip those on. I just tried one on and it seems to fit okay. There you go. It's got Michelin. Funny little foot dude. Anyway, and then these, the first thing I'm gonna do is try to see if I need to sand off some crusty rust stuff. So that's what I'm up to. I gotta go get the Genie fired up. All right, this is the roof. One side of one of the barns of two barns. There's the little garden shed, milk shed I did, painted it. So I'm gonna check this out, and I know down at the ends here I'm gonna have to do some sealing on this as well, but for now, I think right now I'm gonna do is check out the rust. All right, we'll shut this bugger off. All right. Well, we'll see how my footing goes. All right, let's go check the suit. All right. Oh, this isn't bad. Nah, not bad. Yeah, this stuff needs to get should have grabbed the other one. Go ahead. So I think you see how this is gonna go. Slow, and laborious. That's how this is gonna go. Alright, well, so it begins. Probably cut you back in after a bit. Alright, doing some of these ribs, the bad spots, or the spots that are the worst. changing my scene up. Change your scene up. Slap that roof up. As you can see, I'm going with a wire wheel and a stripper pad. I got a box of those. I bought one of these last night, not looking at what I had, so I got like two more of those. I had bought a DeWalt one, a couple of DeWalt ones a while back, but then I bought this Tractor Supply last night. I was going to buy another DeWalt one, but this one was cheaper, and they're probably made by very similar people, and just branded. So these, well, the used one, the one that I had that had already used on things, was working all right, but in spots it would get down to the bare metal on the roof, and I didn't want that, so I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. I don't think I can do it 100%, but I think these will be a little bit more forgiving and not get down to the bare metal as much, but yet get the rust off. I'm hoping that works out well. And so I got two of those rolling. I've got a couple extra batteries on deck. These are 5 amp hour, those are 4 amp hours, so use these and start on those and keep swapping out. I'll see about moving the chargers outdoors so it's a little bit closer. The extension stuff for the Genie, that the cord that's used to run the electric 120 for the Genie, that thing is wire. It's got bare wires, broke and stuff, so that's why I bought that as a 120 volt generator that just works right off the Genie, and I don't have to run an extension cord up to the Genie. But you can see it is sitting where it is. Sitting where it is. Polaris. Yep. So I'm trying to get psyched up to go up on the roof. The gluing on the nuts of the wear pad seemed to have worked out fine. And I bought a box of these. They're probably cheap, but it's all right. I'm just looking to get this roof done. Again, I'm just a schlub. I'm just a schlub doing this stuff. So, this lasts me this side of the roof, so be it. If that lasts the other side of the roof, great. And I'll go from there. So I'm back up here. This end is the worst. Get towards the center and further down it cleans up until you get to the furthest end. So hopefully I should be able to finish this one up fairly soon today with the grinding, that is. Or yeah, grinding, stripping, rust, and then move on. I'm going to try to set up a little camera on a tripod for time lapse here. See what happens. My tools. Got the bucket up. Hopefully it'll just stay right where it is. Try out a couple of these. Let's try this out up here. Alright. Well, that's a good safety tip. Hold on to your fucking tools. I'm ditching the pads just because of the angles and the fasteners and whatnot on the roof, and this is still pretty hard. It doesn't conform, so it really gets after the metal, and now you can see it's chewed up, so now it really cranks into the metal. And I'm just trying to get the rust, the surface stuff off. I don't want to get down to bare metal, as minimal as possible, so I'm going to put another one of those on this. And I think overall, I think this might have been better than this. Maybe. I don't know. This seems to work the best though. Porter cable, DeWalt. And I think this, I was thinking that I was gonna not like this unit when I got it as much as this one, but I'm finding I like this better for various reasons. Like the trigger on this, that safety thing on this becomes a real bitch if you have any pressure on this switch. You can't like get that down, and to hold when you're in awkward positions you always have kind of pressure on the switch, so I don't like that. And this is adjustable. You can see it's a little bit bigger and all, this is taller. But for purposes at hand, I'm liking this better. Anyway, but we'll see how the Porter cable head wire brush works as compared to the DeWalt. I've been using it now for a couple hours and it's doing pretty good. I'm not seeing many wires. I'm not getting pinged with many wires, so we'll see. This one, it looks like it's got some wires that are a little bit wild, but we'll find out. I'll find out. Not we. I'll find out. I am grateful I have a number of batteries. So these are 5 amp hour batteries. They do pretty well. I got a 6 amp hour battery. It was kicking ass. These 4 amp, I got 3 of these 4 amp hour batteries, and there is a significant difference between these guys and the 5 amp. So and each battery is unique to itself, right, from use and whatnot, but so far the 2 5 amps and that 1 6 amps far exceed those 3 4 amps I have. This, I guess, is emergency standby. That's for the electric ratchet. Anyway, just grateful I've got a number of batteries. I just got poked, talked about a wire. I was just poking my leg. I'm in the shade a little bit now, and you can see this side is quite a bit different than that end down there. This end, not this side. This side of things, this end, from that end. Not nearly as much rust to deal with. So my goal is to get this end done, get the pressure washer going, and maybe do some sealing and whatnot tonight. I'd like to start painting tomorrow is my goal. So we'll see how this turns out. I did notice, and I think it's just because maybe this machine's at higher RPM and I can adjust this one. I did get more, I got more wires flinging off of this one than I did the DeWalt. The quarter cable one flung out more wild wires than the DeWalt did. But there again, this is running at a higher RPM. Got this one turned down a little bit. So just an observation, and maybe these things will work too. We'll see. This is my experiment for the pressure washing to clean this off. I've got my pressure washer up here, and I've got a couple of different nozzles. I've got the real long one. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of unwieldy. It's easier to do it on the use it on the ground for high reach. I'm not sure how it's going to work up there. I'm going to try to get the basket. If I use that one, I'm going to try to get the basket up as close as I can. And then I got these two. So this one's a longer, and this nozzle actually moves. Oh, that's what I was going to do, is see if I can't find something to fasten here, because you can't reach that from there because I used a long you can't reach that effectively, the handle that adjusts the tip, right? And I need something that extends back further, so maybe I'll just use duct tape and a piece of wood. Yeah, let's see, that might work. I knew I went in the shop for something. And then I've just got a straight wand, but I did put the rotator tip on that thing blasts. So we'll see, something will work. Got the hose. Man, this is an old spigot that leaks. I need to repair it, but I'm just hesitant to do anything. It took a while to get, I had to take this adapter off of one of the other older hydrant spigots around, and kind of got it in there. It's sealed, it's not leaking. This isn't leaking, this is what's leaking. But be that as it may, I got that one started. I ordered a couple, but this was so rusted up in there, I didn't want to push that up there any further. I figured, hey, it's not leaking, we'll let it go. And I took it off. The newer ones have a much wider, it's like 3/4 to 3/4. This is a 1/2 inch to 3/4 garden hose. So I will replace the one I took off inside the barn. There's an older spigot inside the barn. All the ones on the outside here I've replaced. So they're all the newer, bigger fittings. And I have my garden hose. Should be long enough to go up there. When I get to that end, I might go to the spigot in front of the garden shed over there and run a hose across. We'll see. I have it kind of zip tied to take some of the stress off. This is a pressure washer I got up when I was living in British Columbia, up there working with a client. We were up there for a number of years, but I bought this one up there. I left my other at home, so I have an equivalent to this. It's a Honda pressure washer that I've had for probably 12-15 years, and that thing works as a charm. This isn't a young chicken either. It's no spring chicken, but it fires right up, man. They all do. That's if you just kind of keep up on stuff. You don't have to be a freak on maintenance, but you know, change the oil on them every so often, fire them up every so often. Fuel is the biggest thing. Just use good quality fuel, additive if you have to for the ethanol crap. Anyway, enough of that. Yeah, my experiment. Let's see how this goes. There's I Dream of Jeannie. Here's this. And there's the barn. See if I can get a little bit closer. I don't want to get too close so I have room to maneuver my wand. Alright, well, check it out some more here. Okay, I bought these roof tubes. I got 3 of them to apply caulking sealant on the barn roof. And little did I know, the hardest thing to get a hold of is sealant caulking in bulk in the big 5-gallon buckets. It's expensive as shit, that's true, but it's like, it's hard as crap to find a place to buy it, especially just, you know, kind of as a residential guy. I do have a farm. We do have a business with the farm, so I could get an account there, but like Sherwin-Williams just doesn't have it, although they make it. The local Sherwin-Williams we went into, she says, nah, we don't have anything like that. Like, well, yeah, you do. There's a Sherwin-Williams brand of 5-gallon bucket sealant that's in for bulk loading. Anyway, there's all kinds of product out there. It's just getting the product is the problem. Anyway, I did find this stuff here at the Home Depot. So I'm gonna try to see if I can bulk load this. And it's kind of like butter. And I got different tips for these tube guns. I got this size, which is I think 0.47. So it's one of the smaller sizes, which I thought would be good. Yeah, good for what I'm doing. So that screws into the bottom of this. I also got one of these little shut-off valves, but if I'd known that this is what this stuff was, I could have just bought these things. But you know what? I almost sometimes, oh crap, this stuff is almost cheaper, just as cost effective as to get it from the people than to try to get all the parts yourself, in my humble opinion. But anyway, I'm gonna try to load this stuff into this tube, and let's see how that goes. Got some mineral spirits for cleanup, so hopefully what I don't use I can squeeze back in here. I can seal that up so it doesn't dry out, and I can clean the tube up. If you're a business, you know, these tubes, I guess they treat them as disposable. But I'm not a business, you know, I'm just trying to get my barn roofs painted, and you know, 40 bucks basically, plus or minus 50 bucks some places for these tubes. That's not such a cheap proposition just to throw them away. So I'll do my best to clean it up and reuse. I got 2 more, but I got 4 roof things to do. So anyway, let's see how this goes loading it. I'm gonna try to load it through the tip, because it seems to me that if you just stuck the thing in there without a tip being on to load it, whatever you're using would get all into the threads, and I'm not so sure that's what I'd want to do. So let's just see how this is gonna go. Oh yeah. Did it load any? Huh. I don't think it loaded any. Maybe you gotta stick it in there. I don't know. Alright, let's try this without the fitting. Oh yeah, that's filling it. Oh yeah. Okay. Look at that. That did it. I'm gonna get a scraper here, like so, like so, like so. Like that. I might have pulled the tube up on this too fast. Maybe that's again, this is the first time I'm using this thing, so, and this product, the sealant stuff. Alright, well let's go see what this is going to be all about. Well, I'm using it. I think this tip truly works better for screws and all. I think I'm gonna have to use a utensil with this, and I brought said utensil. Alright, so this is what I'm going to be up to here. I'm going to have to, I think, cut some of these things out like this that I left hanging. Alright, so I'm moving along here. This is working out alright. I'm getting the hang of it. I started with the seams, and that was kind of an awkward thing to do. I'm not so sure that this was meant necessarily to be the most efficient thing with seams. Although it does disperse it, right? So, man, that highway's loud up here. It does disperse it. I just use the cardboard to work on it. This stuff here, it's pretty... I'm not so sure I'm going to do anything with these seams other than when I paint it, I'm using the Henry fibered stuff, so it'll help seal this seam up on this side. It wasn't as bad as what was down there. Anyway, so I am moving along here, my one-man band show. So like I said, they'll be painting over this with the Henry with asphalt, so that'll be like another semi-sealant coating even over this stuff. So I think that'll work out. Alright, well, this is what's going on. Alright. Well, that's about all I'm gonna do for this roof. Sanded it by hand, pressure washed it, dabbed a shitload of screws, and tried to seal that crack seam. And what I mean by all I'm gonna do is now it's got to paint it. So seal it, paint it, paint, seal it. Right on. Roof tube worked out. I think they have other solutions for doing seams. And this stuff was a little bit thick. It's all I could find, but it worked. Some areas, some of them are pretty globby, and other ones I kind of got the hang of it on. All right. Well, that's a wrap for right now. Going tomorrow, a foot longer, so this would work without having to bring the bucket up here, or the basket. If I bring the basket up here, I have something to put the paint in, or I can use the tube to squeeze paint down and then just brush it down. I think that's what I'm going to try to do first. And then I can do this stuff while the paint's drying. See, this is kind of like what I need to run some strips down. There's some areas with the overlap on these sheets that need to get sealed, and then this overlap here. So I need narrow strips to go down the vertical, and I need a little bit wider of a strip to go across these horizontal seams. Not even sure I need the cloth, but I need to start doing something. And I think what I should start doing is painting. There's my roof tube with the octopus fitting on it. Hopefully that will suck up the paint and allow me to squeeze the paint out, so I don't have to like dip into the bucket all the time with the brush, so that I can just brush it onto, squeeze it onto the roof and then brush it. But I gotta get this stuff mixed up. Ah, you son of a bitch! God dang it. Tried to squeeze it lightly. Didn't do that with the first bucket. feel the solids on the bottom. See them come up, the fibers in them. Look at that. Get that massive fiber broke up. It's getting there, but I blended my old with the new and swapped them back and forth, and I think I have them blended pretty well. So now I'm just wanting to see if I should test out if I can suck. I know I can suck the paint up without the fitting on there. I want to see maybe if I can leave the fitting on there and pull the paint up through it that way. Probably better to try it down here than up on the basket. So let's see what happens. Roof tube, Henry asphalt paint. It's drawing it. This might work. Alright, did better. See how this rolls. I think that once I get this down, it'll work. So I think that's better than dipping and brushing and dipping and brushing. Now I can move back and down. get back on with it here. Well, I'm not saying it's anything other than progress. It's going along slowly. My goal is to get this top section done tonight and get maybe some sealing done on this lower one, and then paint the lower one tomorrow. Hopefully that'll go faster because it'll be pushing it down, and I think I'm getting my process worked out a little bit, but I got to really pull vacuum on that thing hard to get it to draw out of there any decent quantities, and then it seems to work out okay. All right, the house, the pole barn, the stuff. All right, I'm on to my roof tube that I used for the silicone the first time around, because as I said, I was having to like do quick jerks to get it to pull the paint. Well, it blew the O-rings right out of the plunger. So that one I just took apart, got it in mineral spirits, and so I'm on to this one. I have one more that's new, but I want to save it for that new sealant stuff I got. So I'm kind of hoping this one holds out now for the rest of, I'm about 2/3 halfway done just about. So let's fire old Betty up again. I don't know why it does that. It's like a fuel pressure problem. It starts, runs for about 30 seconds, dies, but then it fires right back up again. I got drops on some of those other panels, but I'm not going to clean them up because then it just creates funky brush strokes. So I'm trying to at least keep somewhat of a consistent brush stroke so it doesn't look so goofy. All right, I gotta control this thing here, and I'll be back. All right, so I blended this with, I had about half a bucket left of the other stuff, so I blended that with another 5 gallons back and forth, and so that's what this is. So I got I've got a bucket and a half other than this, but I'm trying to keep the stuff blended. They say it's a good thing to do is blend it. So let's see if this is gonna work without ripping my O-rings off. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it's working somewhat. Yeah, better, easier than the brush, that's for sure. And I'm morphing every time I do stuff. Okay, so the backup is working. So now what I'm going to do is just do the top, and then I come down and reach up to do this rest. They need to do a better design with these O-rings, I'll tell you that much right now. Alright, this is what's going on. Thank you. Alright, so I found my little trick with this. I can't go all the way down. These gaskets on O-rings on it won't, just don't cooperate with this stuff very well. But it is certainly handier than trying to brush. So it gets down too far, and I might be crapping here because this is the one I was using for silicone, but I do about that. So the O-ring, the plunger's up here. So you can see I'm not putting a lot of, sometimes I put more in, less in, but hey, you can see how it kind of is working here. So then what I'll do is I'll go down and do the brushing. Alright, so now I'll back off. It's getting a bit windy. Back off. I've only got one more round after these ones. Got that little bit left there to do. Alright, back to brushing here. It has dawned, and look what I'm doing again. Got this one already started. Man, I tell you, this stuff lumps up at the bottom, the fibers. If you're thinking of mixing this with a stick or a little drip, it ain't gonna happen. You need something to break that crap up, or you're gonna be dealing with it for a long time, getting it mixed up. Get this stuff all over, and then you just start transferring it. All right, so you see what I'm doing here. I'm getting my stuff ready to get over to the I Dream of Jeannie with the faded blue paint and get rolling. So I'll see you in a bit. It cleaned up pretty good. That's see how this goes today. Alright, back up on the roof. Much cooler today, just hope it doesn't rain. So let's blow this joint. I got some I think there's helicopters and stuff on it, so let's give it a quick blow and start our day painting. All right. Here we go, people. Let's see what happens for realsy down here now. Tube is working. O-rings are working. Sucking up. Right on. Alright, let's see what happens here, folks. Alright, and I'll show you how I'm doing the big seam here in a second. Quick update, roof tubing along. Got my program down. Liz just got back with 3 more gallons. I won't take 3 gallons for this, but obviously I got more barn roof to do. So this is where I am. Got that to go. got that done, so I'm about halfway done with this bottom part, and hopefully I'll get it done. Gotta get back to it. Alright, this batch behaving totally different. I already mixed it up, should have had the camera on mixing it up, but this batch was totally different than these other batches. I think this stuff might have been older. This behaved like the first can I opened a few weeks back when I did the milk barn, but anyway, I could just tell it behaved differently mixing it up. This stuff, the mass was much more solid, and this was a little bit more fluid. It was like a blob, a fluid blob, where that was like a hard, more of a mass, a cohesive mass bound together. Anyway, so I'm going to mix these up and get back up there. So here's my roof tube. It's my Henry paint, fibered aluminum paint. After I did some work with these O-rings and sealants, and I think that a few other stuff with the medium, it's working pretty well. Show you what I'm doing here. Can you see? That's how that's going. Alright, and then I brush it. So that's how it's going. Racing the sun. Alright, last strip. I'm not going to be able to walk this strip all the way down, you know, then just pushing one single stroke all the way down on these. I'll have to do it in sections, but try to feather it, because that'll be my last one to walk off. But there we go. That was my weekend, people. 1/4 of the way done. I got the back side identical to this to do, then I got those 2 lower wings in the big barn. Man, it's a lot for a one-man band. Alright, well, it's another weekend in my life. Kaputski. Alright, guess where I am? Guess what I'm on? My carnival ride. It's getting all scruffed up there. Alright, well I gotta go on this side of the roof now. This is the back side of the shop barn. And the first thing I need to do is, you'll see, I've got a vent pipe up there that I need to take a look at. So, up and away we'll go. This is what I gotta seal up. Alright, see, I had put rubber on here that was supposed to be UV, but it wasn't. Alright, well, kind of see what I gotta do here. Let me go get my cap. Brush. Okay, well, I got a destruct to restruct. Today is the pleasure of sanding the roof. I did the, I checked on the patching last night. It's looking okay. Alright, stainless cable is still holding in there. And then those other cables are just right there. I bet you they'd crack if you bent them. Huh, I thought I used stainless thimbles on them, but I guess I didn't. I guess I didn't. And stainless hardware. Huh, usually I use stainless for stuff like that. But I guess I didn't. Oh no, I didn't. There's the septic vent, or sewer vent. I think that'll work. Alright, well let's get back to sanding. I'm using green pads on this one, and I have that DeWalt wire bristle on the other one. And I brought some extra pads up. They seem to be working okay. I think I find this one with the wire to be better in this stuff, the corners. And I think I find that pad to be better on the bigger flat spots. Kubota out to kind of get a whole dip taken out in here, and when I pull in and out, there was a divot in there because I'm going to move the I Dream of Jeannie over, because now we're moving on to pressure washing. Yay, the crowd says yay. Alright, I'm at the tail end of this. So that is what's on good. I need to do some sealing around that side. Gotta do some sealing around that lower ring and the lower base. That's what I got to do. Chunk on the back there, because it's around here. Guess I gotta try to get that stuff off of there as much as possible. So that's my next maneuver, Hoover. See you in a bit. These guys were loose, I could tell, because this panel was sticking out a little bit. So, took out the old, put in the new. It's a little bit bigger of a screw too. Like that. Hate these frickin' stink bugs, man. They're like coming out in force. I guess this Indian summer's freaking them out. I didn't bring a different size bit up. Should have, but I didn't. These are smaller headed screws. Man, it's hot today. It's been pretty mild the last few days. Rained last night. I'm glad I got the sanding and the whatnot pressure washing done. Been hot to do that up here today. So I'm up here doing this shit. Alright, so we got some chaos going on down here somewhere. Take a looky-loo. Guess my next step now is to get my ceiling stuff and start doing some ceiling. Yep. Well, I hit about every freaking screw. Nails not so much. But the screws, I'm done. I'm getting bombarded by these frickin' stink bugs. Alright, I got these bugs just... I got one in the face and stunk me. Frickin' thing. It's a nauseous smell when it's like right up against your nose and face. Alright. Well, I'm about 3/4 of the way through with the upper section, and I got my process down, so I'll show you it here in a second. Set up there, I get my roof tube with the multi-fork. That's kind of how I go about this. And between fighting stink bugs and wasps, fucking bugs. So you see what I got left here, and then I got the somewhat vertical spots to do, or the horizontal doing the vertical, you know. All right, that's my day, my weekend, basically, a few weekends. Got this bit to go here. I don't know why I started that row. Paint was getting crappy and I couldn't finish it. So now it's like right in the middle. I'm gonna have a effed up row. I'll have to put some paint on it and smooth it out. And that's that. Battling stink bugs and wasps and heat and paint and pain and misery. What a weekend. All right, signing off. All right, so this is the roof on the back side of this apartment shop barn, all complete, and this was all done in fiber. Henry fibered paint, and I think I got like pretty much silicone to every screw on this back side, so went to each one and put a dollop on it. Anyway, that's that. Did the vent, did the stack, fought some bees, some stink bugs, new cable, all new painted, and that barn over there. is also 2 levels painted on it. Yahoo-wee.